all of our webinars ready to go, and hopefully everybody can see what we're doing there.
So why accessibility and inclusion is imperative to your business success.
Okay, so don't forget, guys, feel free to jump in at any point. We have the comments box going, so ask questions. This is supposed to be incredibly interactive.
Yes.
And feel free to try and turn your microphone on if you would prefer to do this via voice. Of course, we're aware that some of you have accessibility issues, and that typing may be an issue for you. So of course, feel free to share via your microphone if you so wish.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into this.
So what is accessibility and inclusion? Accessibility is affording the opportunity to acquire the same information, engaging in the same interactions, and enjoy the same services as a person without a disability in an equally effective and equally integrated manner with substantially equivalent ease of use. Inclusion is the state of being included or made part of something. It provides for equal access to opportunities and resources for people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalised.
So don't forget, guys, that accessibility and inclusion go hand in hand.
They do.
One can't exist without the other. In order to be inclusive and not exclude any part of society, you also have to make things accessible to them. So accessibility can be anything from making a website or your, information technology accessible to people with visual impairment or hearing impairment, or even somebody with manual dexterity issues, or it can be literally access to premises, access to
wheelchair access,
wheelchair
mobility
access,
issues.
exactly. Yeah. So whether that's access to a retail environment, access to your home premises, access to just the community and the environment in general. Greater access allows greater inclusion, and will allow yourself and other people in your life and greater access to things. And don't forget that access includes the community at large. So parents with prams, people using bicycles, using skateboards, roller skates, exactly. Or even if you're the kind of person that suffers with blurry eyes when you're using information technology, your computer, if you're at work, if you suffer with migraines, having those accessibility features in place will certainly help you to access things much better.
We have it's a common fact that in this country, Australia and many others, we have an aging population. That's just the way it is. So disability and that and inclusion is going to be more and more necessary as our population continues to age.
Exactly. So guys, for those of you that stay to the end, if you are a Gold Coast or South East Queensland local, we will be offering an InvincAble A.I.D.E workshop for free. And if you aren't local, we will be releasing our virtual dates very, very soon. So anybody worldwide can participate. It will come alongside one of our workbooks, which we will send out to you. And it's your chance to get involved in our half-day workshop, which lasts about 3.5 hours. It's a great opportunity for you guys, so don't forget to wait till the end to see if you are a winner.
For those of you joining us who would join us live, we provide refreshments, drinks, and a few snacks and whatnot.
And the pleasure of our company.
And the pleasure of our company. For those of you that will be joining us virtually when we do the virtual ones, you'll have to provide them for yourself.
Yeah, sorry guys, but that is a chance that maybe you could sit there sipping on champagne or, having a beer. Why not?
Can I do that?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Although I don't think we'd get through the workshop very easily.
Probably not.
No. Drunk Adam. Although drink driving, being in a wheelchair and all is not a great idea. No. Not recommended. So let's get into a little bit more about our lived experiences and what our disabilities and stories are.
So I've been a wheelchair user my entire life. I'm 40 in June. So
getting old.
I'm getting old, yeah, 50 grays. So my lived experience has been many and varied over the last 40 years. Growing up in the early 80s with inclusion and accessibility, it has, in the area we live in on the Gold Coast, it's certainly gotten better, but it's nowhere near where it needs to be or it should be. These days I'm a dad of a little boy who's nearly 5, and accessibility plays a major role in everything we do. If I want to take him to a park or take him to other experiences around our local area, accessibility and inclusion is a major factor in that.
I mean, unless there's an accessible playground that's been built, you can't even get anywhere near the playground in order to either play with him or assist him if something were to happen. And that happens with kids.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not sure what it's like in other countries. Certainly here, the majority of playgrounds on the bottom have either sand or bark, which for a wheelchair user is pretty tricky.
Yeah.
So it's those simple things that, for me as a dad, I do on a daily basis. Things that like taking my son to the shops or to a play centre or things like that as well.
So talk a little bit about how things have changed for you over the years being a wheelchair user. Obviously, when you were a baby, I'm sure there was very different assistive tech that was available to you to what you would use nowadays.
So my very first wheelchair, so I got my first wheelchair when I was about 3 or 4 years old. Before that, I actually had a piece of plywood, 3/4-inch plywood with 4 caster wheels on it. That was my very first mobility device or assistive tech. I got my first wheelchair at that point, and that wheelchair still fitted me up until I was about 13 or 14 years old.
That must have been so hard to get around in.
It was crazy. I mean, back in the early 80s here, there just wasn't the availability of being able to bend metal to make small wheelchairs, and of course they were all steel wheelchairs too, so very heavy. And not easy to build.
Yeah, so nowadays you'll often see the young kids getting around in these tiny, cute little wheelchairs. They are absolutely adorable.
Some of them I wouldn't get one leg into.
I know, right? They're tiny, absolutely tiny, very cute. So, just moving on a little bit, I guess life has changed, and with the availability of more access to things and more inclusive attitudes, there's opportunities like this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, accessibility and inclusion has definitely gotten better. I've always grown up with the mentality of always just say yes and give everything a go. And I guess some of these photos are a testament to that. So I've taken a hot lap in a V8 supercar, which was a lot of fun. I'm an avid gym goer. I love to train. I'm a qualified personal trainer. Also, I've done iFly here on the Gold Coast, which is absolutely brilliant if you're anywhere that's got an iFly. And so for me, there is no way known and not enough money in the world to ever get me jumping out of a perfectly good plane. It's just not something I would ever do. iFly, on the other hand, I think I've done that maybe 6 or 7 times now. It's just ridiculously fun.
So the way they do things is incredibly inclusive, and as a business, they have made their activities incredibly not just offering an equal experience, but offering an equitable experience. You get the exact same experience as any other individual using it. The way that they increase their inclusion and their accessibility to their services is by giving you 2 instructors rather than 1. Everything else is the same. It's fantastically done well. And just for those of you who don't know what iFly is, it's indoor skydiving.
It's indoor skydiving, yeah. So literally the only thing that precludes you from doing it is if you've got had a shoulder dislocation or had a decent shoulder injury. Literally, aside from that, anybody can fly. Aside from that, as I said, I am a qualified personal trainer, and I get to coach this awesome human as a wheelchair racer, which is brilliant. And we're also both members of our local Rotary Club.
Yes. Yeah. So my story is just a little bit different to Adam's. I was born able-bodied and suffered with a lot of issues with arthritis and fibromyalgia. For those of you who don't know what that is it is a painful condition, and it did disable me in some ways, and that I struggled to walk distances, and I was in a lot of pain and didn't sleep well, and there were a few issues going on that actually led to me taking my final 2 years off school because I was just too unwell to go. At a later point, I was literally just one day, it was actually Boxing Day 2008, went to bed, there was a Christmas Day 2008, went to bed as usual, woke up the following day completely blind in my right eye. Within a couple of days, I was 100% blind in both eyes, couldn't even see the difference between night and day. Had absolutely no idea what was going on with me, but it turned out that I had a rare disease, which then went on to paralyze me from the waist down, and that was all within the space of about a month. The rare disease is a little bit like multiple sclerosis, but comes on much more suddenly. So yeah, it's caused me, I have relapses, go very much up and down. So as you may be able to see on this end picture, it has left me much more, I guess, disabled than I am at this point. I was quadriplegic completely paralyzed from the neck down for 7 months. And the other pictures, I guess, show me when I was at the start of my journey and went from the size I am now and ballooned up to around about 120 kilos, which was all steroid weight, thanks to the chemotherapy and steroids that I was having to take to try and stop my body's immune system from attacking itself. And in the middle photo, that was after I had the relapse before you see the power chair on the end. That left, like I said, left me in hospital for a sizable amount of time, and took me a while to be able to regain function to where I am now, which, like I said, is paralyzed from the waist down. My journey, I'm just going to move that back up to the top for you. My journey, much like Adam's, I am all about embracing life and making the most of your opportunities and making the most of what you have, and would never have been able to achieve the things I've achieved if it wasn't for the fact that there's so many people out there that are willing to try and adapt their businesses or allow you to give things a go. We have a long way to go with making business accessible. However, these are some of the things that I've been able to try out regardless. So kayaking, both Adam and I love to go out kayaking. It is something we do regularly. There is a long way to go with beach access, especially when you're trying to drag a kayak and a wheelchair down to the waterfront through the sand. But you know, by adapting, we've managed to figure some of the issues out. I am a wheelchair racer, as you will see there in the bottom left-hand corner. That is me racing at Sydney Olympic Stadium this year at the National Championships. In the middle...
Last year.
Oh yeah, last year. Oh yeah, we're 2022. That was 2021. See, I'm going crazy already. The middle photo there is of me talking at the opening of the Commonwealth Games here on the Gold Coast in 2018, greatest experience of my life. Once again, guys, this is all about embracing life and just saying yes to opportunities. And that was me absolutely bricking myself, because I'd never done anything like that before, in front of 1,000 athletes, dignitaries, VIPs, the works. Never been so scared, but hey, it's led to where I am today, so I can't complain. Above that is me doing the Queen's Baton Relay at the Commonwealth Games. So much like the Olympic torch, it's the same version of it, passed on to you by Queen Elizabeth. There's a picture of me accepting an award for the Gold Coast Women of the Year last year. Below is me getting the 3rd place medal at the national championships for the 400 meters. Below that is me going to the gym, and next to it is the book that I released a couple of years ago now. I guess, guys, the reason for showing these photos is to show that given the opportunity, people with disabilities will chase their goals and dreams just like anybody else. So it is a demographic, it is a population that you really need to make the effort to service well.
And include.
Exactly right. So we want to talk to you about some of the benefits and the reasons why it is imperative to adopt an attitude of inclusion and accessibility overall and within your business environment.
So the benefits of accessibility and inclusion. So the first one we've got builds empathy and understanding of the community around you.
So as we've said before, 1 in 5 worldwide has some form of disability, not necessarily mobility issues. There can be invisible disabilities, sensory, developmental, intellectual. There is a whole host of things going on for people, and some of them may not be immediately obvious. But if you haven't been touched by some form of disability in your life, which of course so many have, you may not have the understanding of the importance that being inclusive and accessible can actually have. Apart from anything, having that understanding, making the effort to learn about other people's experiences will help build empathy in yourself and will help you to just, be a better person overall.
Yeah, okay. So opens up your mind to life's experiences other than your own, which is so true. You're able to see what other people in your community go through. Obviously people with disabilities have many and varied experiences when it comes to accessibility, simple things like going to the shops, finding parking, things like that.
Yeah, even in their own homes. I think that most people assume that if you're disabled, then if you're a person with a disability, then your home will be set up in this perfect way that will be easy for you to access. However, that's often not the case, and many people find themselves in very, very difficult situations because of that.
So it benefits the community at large as opens the world up to all people in all situations. Exactly.
So not just opening the world up to people with disabilities, but also to parents of prams, as I've mentioned before, skateboarders, anyone who has smaller struggles, but needs to be able to use those accessibility features. It doesn't necessarily just mean people with disability, it means everyone. Absolutely everyone. Being inclusive and accessible opens the world up to every person, and shouldn't we all have access to whatever we choose to do?
Helps society evolve by smashing perceptions and stereotypes which are a barrier to growth.
So many stereotypes and conscious biases and perceptions out there of what people with disability are in fact capable of. Don't forget, we're just trying to lead our lives in the same way that anybody else would. We just have to adapt. What we're forced to adapt to the situation around us. However, so many people do it in such an incredible way, and it's literally just about living life. When you are encountered by disability and seeing what some of the people in the community are achieving, it actually can change your mindset, open your eyes a little bit, and allow you to evolve as a person when you realize what others go through.
Absolutely. Anybody can become permanently or temporarily disabled at any time. So any accessible and inclusive attitude protects the future of you and your loved ones.
So disability isn't just something that happens to somebody else. It can happen at any time to anybody. Just like with me, you get hit by a sudden illness, the next day you find yourself paralyzed and blind, came out of nowhere. You could be walking down the street and get hit by a bus. you could have a child born with a disability. There are so many ways in which you and your loved ones, even as your parents age, as people in your life age, they tend to be encountered by more disability. And it is really, really important that you don't have the mindset of it's something that happens to everybody else, because at some point in your life, you are very likely to be encountered by disability, whether that's in your own personal self or with the people that share your life.
Absolutely. You know, with the advent of more medical science and people living longer and things like that, which is great, but there are things like, you know, things like our joints aren't meant to last that long and things like that. So the proportion of people who have some form of disability will absolutely increase. Treat all people with equal regard and importance.
We're all equal after all. Everybody, we're just people. Everybody's human. So it's important that we treat people with an equal attitude. If you are being accessible and inclusive, you are showing that that's what is happening. And you know, every human craves this.
Yeah.
Just because you have a disability or are born with a disability doesn't mean that your hopes, desires, wants and needs change.
Yeah,
so exactly. It's really, really important.
Everyone deserves to be heard and felt like they've been heard and understood.
Yeah. Okay, next one.
How inclusion and accessibility positively impacts business. Try and speak properly.
Yes.
Gives your business access to a new demographic, which has been largely untapped, which is so true. So as we mentioned, in Australia, 1 in 5 people in this country have some form of disability. Now, imagine if you've got...
and worldwide, it's 15%. Yeah.
There you go. So imagine if you have a business that isn't accessible and inclusive. That is a whole demographic of people that aren't able to come through your doors. And that's a whole demographic of people that you're missing out on as customers. Yeah. So builds trust and confidence in your brand and enhances your reputation.
So if you show that you are making that effort and doing your best to service all of your community members, all of your potential customers, then that is going to build trust and confidence in what you're doing, and can only be positive. And to be honest, the more that you service the needs of the greater community, the more success you will have in profitability, return on interest. There are so many positive impacts financially for your business, regardless of any expense, which it doesn't always have to be big expense, by the way. There are many, many, many small things you can do that can make a huge difference. So don't forget that.
Absolutely. Promotes your business's social responsibility. And it sounds a bit boxy, but
yeah, it's a bit fluffy, but
it's a bit fluffy, but social responsibility, I mean, it's an aesthetics thing for your business. And we all know in business with, you know, Google reviews and, you know, social media is really, really important.
Yeah, visibility matters. And if you're seen to be doing a good thing, then there will be more respect for what you're doing overall.
Absolutely. This one's a big one. The disabled community talks and will offer great word of mouth advertising if you stand out by servicing their needs well. It is so true, because of the general lack of accessibility and inclusion in our community. The disabled community go out and search for it, and they get online and they talk about it. So when they've had a good experience, they will shout it from the mountaintop. And but conversely,
if they have a negative
experience, they will do the same.
Yes. And don't forget, people are much more likely to talk about negative experiences they have. So whilst the positive experiences may not always be spoken about, the negative ones definitely will. And you don't want to be known as someone who's making a negative impact on, you know, on the disabled community members around you. word of mouth advertising is the best form of advertising.
Mm-hmm.
It is, it is those reviews which are gold and will make the biggest difference to your business. So you can advertise what you are doing and who you're servicing without actually doing any extra work. The people in the community that have a disability and have experienced, great customer service by yourself will shout it from the rooftops. So take advantage of that. And that goes for anything within business.
Who doesn't want free positive advertising?
Exactly.
Like, when you're in business. When barriers exist, you are only harming yourself. Only harming your ability to make sales.
At the end of the day, business is about making sales. That's what it's there for. It's there to make a profit. If you have barriers in the way to 15 to 20% of your customers, you're going to harm sales. They will take one look at your business and go the other direction because they cannot access your products and services. So it is imperative that you service this part of your community.
It allows you to employ staff and leaders with disabilities who tend to be highly skilled, highly productive team members. So because of once again, because there is generally a lack of accessibility and inclusion in the community.
A lot of barriers.
And a lot of barriers, particularly with the employment sector. People with disabilities, when they find a job that caters for them and is accessible and inclusive to them and will take them on, they will dig their heels in and work their asses off for those people.
Absolutely. So that leads us into our next slide.
Why having a diverse workforce leads to more business success.
So once again, it's kind of expanding from that last point on the last slide.
Yeah. So get input and insights into your business from people of all walks of life or pushes from life. Yeah.
So having a diverse workforce is incredibly important. You will get the kind of feedback from the people that are working for you that you would not have had you employed everybody who is pretty much the same. So everybody comes with their own unique life experiences, and that's no different with disability, and everybody's abilities and disabilities are very, very different. So it is really important to have people with disabilities as part of your workforce.
Yeah, absolutely. And they will do you by having people with disabilities or diverse people working for your business. They will share that information with you about in the end getting more people in, because they won't be afraid to talk to you about things that can be improved accessibility wise or inclusion wise, and help you out there. So improves employee engagement as they feel respected and valued, which ultimately leads to greater performance levels.
Yeah. So quite often it can be extremely difficult to get any kind of employment as a person with disability, hence the reason so many of us end up setting up our own businesses, because it's just too hard. So you will find that there is a much higher level of respect and the concept of feeling valued when they're offered a job, employment opportunities, which have actually made that effort to adapt to the disabled person's situation rather than the disabled person having to adapt to their
situation.
When that happens, you'll get greater performance levels overall. So always make those efforts, even if they seem difficult, because it will actually benefit the business in the long run.
A workforce of different abilities and backgrounds will possess different skills, which combined will form an incredible team.
So who doesn't want within their business a team that comes with an incredible breadth when it comes to their skill set? People with disabilities bring a lot of other soft skills with them that they've developed just through the fact that they have had no other choice because of the challenges they've been through in life. So this can often be resilience, it can be strength, determination, adaptability, flexibility, all the things that challenges in life make you develop within yourself as a person. And often other people may not have experienced, so they don't come with that kind of skill set. There is very, very often the ability of people with disabilities to motivate the workforce using the skills that they have built purely from the experiences they've been through. Yeah.
Can you and imagine this? So imagine you've got a customer service business of some sort, and as an example, you have an employee that can sign language. So you have somebody who only knows how to sign come into your business, and all you need to do is call on that staff member. Look how that looks from an outside perspective to everyone else in the signing community.
It's optics. It's all about optics.
It is.
Yeah.
So gives you and other employees the opportunity to learn and grow.
So you will learn things from the people, the diverse people in your life, and that doesn't just go for people with disabilities. That will come from people of different cultures, different backgrounds. Difference is a good thing.
Absolutely. Have employees who understand your customer base better and can therefore service their needs better.
Exactly. Whilst somebody who is who doesn't live with a disability can learn everything they possibly can about a situation, for example, being in a wheelchair, or talk to as many people as possible, they're never truly going to understand the unique challenges that you live through day in, day out when you're a wheelchair user. So if you were to encounter a customer who themselves is in a wheelchair, you can relate. There are things that you would be able to talk to them about, and that you guys would be able to connect on, that you yourself as an employer may not be able to. So it's really, really important to be able to talk to those people with a level of understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. So it builds greater company resilience, allowing the organisation to weather storms and work through conflict more productively.
And once again, it goes to the fact that people that have experienced challenges and adversity in their life, some greater than others, will support the organisation through tough times, and whether those tough times could be small. Yeah. Roadblocks, or could be huge. I mean, a lot of businesses at the moment with the COVID situation are collapsing under the pressure of what's happening. So having somebody who has an understanding of how to be resilient and get through those challenges, and
it's a great morale booster.
It is, and it can only help the culture of the business overall.
100%.
Yeah. So, guys, at InvincAble, we have developed a concept called the InvincAble A.I.D.E concept. A.I.D.E stands for accessibility, inclusion, diversity, and education. And our concept is basically that you can't have equity, you can't have equality and the opportunity for people to be part of the conversation without dealing with these 4 areas. So, accessibility, obviously the ability to access everything that is part of society, allows people to take part in things. And diversity, so diversity is having a seat at the table, inclusion is having, yes, that's okay. Confusion, that's definitely confused. And inclusion is having a voice. It's being heard and being able to be part of the conversation at that table. And finally, we talk about education, advocating for being an ally to the community and empowering yourself and empowering others so that you can support the disabled community. Those are the 4 most important concepts and the most important areas that we can work on in order to support people with disabilities. And with that, we have just released our InvincAble A.I.D.E program. We are running workshops, face-to-face and online, as we spoke about at the beginning of the webinar. We have our next one on the Gold Coast here on Friday. Friday, 10 a.m. for anybody interested in coming. There will be a link in a moment so you can sign up if you're interested. We also have workbooks and many other supplies that are coming as part of this course. So if you're interested in this whole area and the difference that you can make as an ally to our community, then please sign up. And the program covers the following.
Yep. So why accessibility, inclusion, and diversity should matter to everyone. Why disability does not mean inability. Demystify disability and what it means to live with one. Awareness and understanding of disability and challenges faced by those living with one. Feel empowered and empower those around you to be an ally of the disabled community.
So guys, it covers that and so much more. It is a 3.5 hour workshop. We will actually be expanding this to a full day workshop later in the year, so keep your eye out for that. We are offering both face-to-face and online. So anybody from anywhere in the world will be able to take this program. And it's a program that we feel involves a lot of self-reflection. So we're not just teaching you about these things, we're actually helping you to realize and understand some of the things that are going on for you personally, so that you understand how your choices, your decisions, your possible prejudices can actually make a difference in other people's lives. We all have unconscious biases and things we don't necessarily understand we have, but it's only with the knowledge and understanding what they are that we can actually stop them from affecting people's lives. I, as a person with disability and a person that teaches inclusion, apparently have a slight bias against disabled people. Now, there is a specialized test that you can do to figure this out, and we talk about it in the course and in the workbook we offer, and everybody has some form of unconscious bias, and it's not something to be ashamed of, because it's something that is built in childhood and is from the environment that you grew up in. But like I said, if you're aware of what those biases are, you can actually do something about it. If you're not, then you'll always continue to allow them to affect your opinions and your judgment, and that would be a crying shame. So today, we have a special offer for anybody attending this webinar. That says 50% off all workshop attendees. That should actually say webinar attendees, sorry guys. But our prices for our workshops have now been slashed to $49.75. If you use the code WEB50, the link is there at the bottom of the screen. So included in that price is the InvincAble face-to-face or virtual workshop. So the virtual workshop dates will be released soon. So keep hold of this code, because we will introduce this code for the first 24 hours of that workshop being released, so you can use it then. It also includes the InvincAble A.I.D.E workbook, which is a 55-page workbook. Recommended retail price $35, and it will really allow you to home in on some of the issues that we've spoken about here today. It will also include private access to the InvincAble A.I.D.E Facebook group, and of course the opportunity to change your life and the life of others, and that's absolutely priceless.
Absolutely.
So so we've got to tell you, for anybody who is left over today, you will be entered into the draw to win a free workshop. How have I changed that? To enter the free, your chance to win a free workshop. We won't release the winners now. We will message you a little bit later today. However, if you get the opportunity, don't forget that you can apply this against our face-to-face workshop or any of our online workshops. So our other programs, which you also have on offer, are our InvincAble Motivate workshop, which we're running the first face-to-face one on January 18th, so we're not that far away. Obviously the InvincAble A.I.D.E workshop, which we've just been speaking to you about, the Wi-Fi workshop, which is Adam's baby, which...
Yep, so Wi-Fi is all about finding your why and your passion and your purpose and fueling that and continuing that on to live an amazing life.
That's stoke your why with fire.
That's it.
And the Live Invincible workshop is my baby. It is about resilience. It is about embracing your challenges to adapt and overcome, no matter what your challenges are. I guess some are more visible than others, but everybody experiences challenges in their life. And it is about getting outside your comfort zone in order to live an incredible, invincible life. So guys, that is us done for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed everything we've had to say, and we hope to see you coming along, joining our Facebook groups, following our pages, and taking the opportunity to know us and what we're all about a little bit better. And we will catch you next time. See you guys. I'm going to stop it.
Stop sharing.
And send.